Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1987. This week on Cars Yeah, we are celebrating the Concours in the Hills that takes place on Saturday, February 12th in beautiful Fountain Hills, Arizona. With over 1,000 cars, this is a first event for the new year you don't want to miss. To learn more, go to concoursinthehills.org.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in beautiful carefree Arizona. I think that's where I'd like to go live when I retire because we all want to be a little bit carefree with a very special guest by the name of Jim Maetzold. Jim, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear and are you ready to release the clutch?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you're a guy who is very good at releasing clutches because we're going to talk about your racing and fun with cars. We're going to talk about the Concours in the Hills. But before I give you a proper introduction, what's one little thing that maybe people don't know about you, Jim?
Gosh, you're catching me a little flat-footed on that.
Maybe a hobby or something you like to do that's a little bit unique or different or outside of your world of passion for cars?
Well, I'm hoping to get a place outside Arizona in the summertime. I'm looking at outside the country for a few months.
Really?
COVID willing.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Now, do you have some countries that you have in mind?
I do. Thailand down in Phuket is one area. The Gold Coast of Australia is another area, and also the Jaco area of Costa Rica.
Oh my gosh, you've got some very interesting prospects in your future in some really beautiful parts of the world. That sounds pretty nice. Some more carefree is coming up around the world for Jim, eh?
Hopefully, indeed.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. We're going to talk about the Concours, talk about cars, race cars. We're going to have some fun today. Jim Maetzold is in charge of the race car section of the Concours in the Hills. Of course, it's taking place coming up here in February in beautiful Fountain Hills, Arizona. His passion for motorsports has been lifelong, having first fallen in love with racing at the age of 16 when he attended an SCCA regional race in Minnesota. Minnesota, that's far from where you're going to be heading. A little different weather, too. After watching the Can-Am cars run at Road America when he was in college, the hook was set. And in the 70s and 80s, Jim raced in SCCA events driving a number of Formula Atlantic race cars. And then in 2015, he started vintage racing in a Mart Atlantic that was driven by that guy named Jacques Villeneuve. Very cool. He follows most motorsports with a strong love for F1 and Indy cars, of course. I think there's an open wheel category here that Jim's in love with. To support his track addiction, Jim owns a heavy equipment sales and rental business there in Carefree, Arizona. Jim will be back in just a minute, but first a word from our valued sponsor, so give him a little love, and we'll be right back. Keep the seatbelt cinched down tight. I love Covercraft's new 5-layer all-climate cover. It was developed and engineered for anything Mother Nature can throw our way. It's very soft, breathable, and easy to store and pampers your paint and interior surfaces, providing maximum UV, rain, dust, and snow protection. Add their gust guards for windy conditions for extra protection. Their 5-layer all-climate cover is custom-tailored with Covercraft's attention to detail, form and fit with a quality and attention that's been their standard since 1965. Covercraft protects cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, trailers, and watercraft too. Every one of my vehicles is protected by a Covercraft cover. And I have a deal for you. Use the code YEAH21 at covercraft.com and you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order plus free shipping. That's right, 10% off and free shipping. Just type in the word YEAH, Y-E-A-H, 21 at checkout, YEAH21 at covercraft.com. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Most people don't think about their collector car insurance until their annual premium becomes due. Well, why wait and see if there are better options for your beloved rides? I didn't. Did you know if you change carriers before your policy runs out, your insurance company has to refund you the unearned portion of your policy premium? I did my homework, I shopped around, and I found American Collectors Insurance. And that's who protects my Porsche Turbo. That's right, the one I call my Orange Crush. They've been protecting collector vehicles since 1976. I encourage you to call my friends at American Collectors Insurance. Ask them about their agreed value policy. And if your collector vehicle is on your regular auto policy, you will be shocked at the savings, not to mention the assurance, should something bad happen to your ride, that you'll get what your vehicle is actually worth. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of Mark Green at Cars Yeah, American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call today. So, Jim, we're back. So let's talk a little bit before we get into the Concours in the Hills event, which is a wonderful event. But I want to talk a little bit about your racing and your love for racing, because having been a fellow vintage racer, this is a way for us, for guys like you and me, to get out there and really have some fun, drive real proper race cars in somewhat of a controlled setting, depending on where you're racing. Those guys over in Goodwood, I'm not sure I could race with those guys. So tell me, go back in time here, how this all got in and some of the cars you've raced. I mean, especially this car that you raced that Villeneuve drove. Holy cow.
Well, I've had quite a variety, but I've focused on single seaters. My original start was, like most of us, I didn't have any money when my love of racing set in. But when I got out of college and started working, and wasn't married, I was determined to get something onto the track. I picked up a Fiat 850 sedan for $650 that had been raced in Midwest Sports Car Council in and around the Wisconsin, Northern Illinois area.
Wow.
I got my Midwest Sports Car Council competition license at Blackhawk Farms in Beloit, Wisconsin, and that's how I started my on-track experience. The next year I upgraded to a Fiat 850 Spider, got some good experience, went to Road America for the first time, and then, as luck would have it, I moved to Wichita, Kansas, the garden spot of Kansas, of course. I bought my first Formula car, which was a Lola T240 with a twin cam engine in it. Picked that up and raced in the Midwest Division SCCA, primarily regionals, quite a few different tracks. Had a great time with that car and actually did quite well with it. Had a pretty seamless transition from the low horsepower sedans and Spider into an Atlantic car, and really loved them. The following year, I upgraded to a year-old T360 B that had been owned by Bill Scott Racing and driven by Tom Clauser.
Wow. In
the Pro Series, and I ran primarily SCCA Nationals and actually won a couple.
Wow. You've been having some fun. Tell me a little bit about this Villeneuve car, because that one sounds really cool.
Yeah, that was when I got back into racing. I searched around for a nice Atlantic or a B Sports racer type car to pick up. I found this particular car in Houston. It had been driven in for several years by a doctor down there and was in pretty nice shape. Brought it back, had the boys at Aero Lane Prep Shop go through it, and took it back to exactly as it was driven in period by Jacques Villeneuve in 1980. He won the championship with that car.
No kidding.
So it's a pretty historically significant car, and I have had great fun with that car.
Yeah, I'll bet. Sounds wonderful. Well, this is a nice transition to your role there with Pete Volney, who was our guest at the beginning of this week, who is running this event. But you can't run a Concours without having a lot of help. And you're one of those people. He said you got to have Jim on your show because he's a huge help to the event. The Concours in the Hills, you're in charge of the race car section. So tell our listeners a little bit about some of the cars they're going to see at the event.
Well, we've got a pretty good selection. We have, I would call the superstars would be some Indy cars, including Mario Andretti's first Lotus car that was owned by Dean Van Lines.
Oh, wow.
And actually prepared in Phoenix. And then we are going to have a couple of Dan Gurney Eagles.
Oh, cool.
It looks like we're going to have an 81 Dubonnet car that was driven by Kevin Cogan. And then we're going to have the last Indy car that Gurney ever fielded, which was a Renard Eagle. That was driven by P.J. Jones and Alex Barron. Additionally, we have some pretty cool Can-Am cars coming. We've got a Lola T160 small block. We have a Genie Mark 10 USSRC car, an early Can-Am car that was Merle Brennan's car. And then we have a McLaren M8E that was driven by Bobby Brown. And then we also have a single-seat Can-Am car, ironically also driven by Bobby Brown, that is a Lola T333. And additionally, we've got at least one Lola T70 coupe coming in. We have one of three Echidnas, which are basically a Minnesota backyard hot rod shop car. There were three of them made. They were quite successful. But basically, they were cars with a fuel-injected Chevrolet small block in them that took some very brave men to drive.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
And then we have a selection of Trans Am cars and some other types of SCCA cars. And I think the final car count will be probably around 25 race cars. And, we also will have a Baja 1000 car that was driven by P.J. Jones this year.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. You've curated an incredible mix of cars. And Peter told me that one of the things you guys do at this event at the beginning is a start your engines. Oh, my gosh. You add all those cars starting, and I think we're going to see a little shaking in the hills there in Arizona.
Yes, sir. I think we will. And we're going to have a great selection of not only vintage race cars, but vintage race car drivers, including a couple Indy 500 winners.
No kidding. Well, you made a nice segue to my next question, and that was, I know there's going to be some great people in the years past, and Ari Leyendyke, Lynn St. James, Derek Daly. Before we lost, of course, last year, Bob Bondurant was there. Right. Tell me some of the greats that are going to be there.
Let's see. In addition to those gentlemen, P.J. Jones will be coming there. We're trying to get Bobby Brown to come out from New York to join us. We'll have, let's see, you mentioned Ari Leyendyke. Jeff Andretti is trying to get his father Mario to join us, and also Tom Sneva, we hope, will join us.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Some heavy hitters.
Yes, sir.
I love it. This sounds absolutely fantastic. Some of the things about this event that are very cool, and I want to remind the listeners here, and this is why, boy, if you live like where I do, where we've had some pretty tough weather, not quite as bad as the Midwest or East, but I live where it rains a lot. This is a nice time of the year, February, to get out of the weather and go to where it's beautiful. And one of the things that's cool about this event is it's free and the parking's free. So, just a plane ride away and great hotels to stay at. There's a lot of cool things that are going to be happening here. I would love for you to talk a little bit about maybe a driving inspiration, because, you're a race car driver, and having named off the people you just named off in the cars that you're curating, is there a driver in the past that maybe was an inspiration for you when you got into doing vintage racing?
Well, when I got into vintage racing, as far as somebody that I really admired and did what I did at a much higher level with a lot more funding, is Tom Malloy.
Oh, yes.
Tom will be joining us too and bringing several of his cars over, as he likes to say, a truckload, including the M8E McLaren. I loved the way Tom prepared his cars, and he was also tried to be very true to exactly how the cars were run in a period, right down to having the decals made like they were done in period, and not just getting it close, but getting it perfect. We tried to do that with our Villeneuve car. Tom certainly was an inspiration as far as how to go vintage racing correctly.
Yeah, I've known of Tom forever. In fact, one of the last times I raced was at Road America, and he was there. I'm almost certain, if my memory serves, this is a little while ago, with a Villeneuve car, I believe. He's
got probably the greatest collection of IndyCar roadsters and rear engine cars, including the first, second, and third place finishers in the controversial 1982 Indy 500 that was won by officially certified to be run by Bobby Unser, although Mario Andretti took the trophy at the dinner that night because he thought he'd won it, and they later reversed it. But just in case, Tom has both cars, so we know he's got the winner. Well, I know he was there, and I may have mixed up my cars. It's been quite a while, but yeah, he's, prolific in racing and vintage racers and incredible cars. I can't imagine you leaving a big event like that with the trophy, and then you get the phone call, sorry, you got to bring that trophy back. We're going to give that to, oh my gosh, talk about the heartbreaking stories of racing. Not the first time that's ever happened, of course, but that had to be a very tough one for him. just another milestone in the Andretti IndyCars.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's been a tough road, but man, I really hold Mario Andretti in high esteem because he's one of those guys that figured out how to market himself in racing, and I don't think there's anybody, even people that have no clue about racing, everyone knows who Mario Andretti is. When you name off some of these other names that you and I know are greats, a lot of people go,
Right.
Who? I've never heard of him. But Andretti, that guy figured it out, didn't he?
Yes, he was a good businessman and a good manager of his own career, and also one of the few guys. I'm good friends with Bobby Brown, and Bobby was telling me back when we were both doing Formula 5000s together. And he said the one thing about Mario, he said we all try, and we all have some good laps. Mario is one of the very few drivers that will take it out to the very limit of the car and his ability each and every lap. There is no backing off. There is no saving the car. He just he rings the most he can get out of the track, the car, and himself every foot he's on the track.
Yeah, incredible guy. Absolutely fantastic. We'll take a short break. We come back. I want to talk a little bit more about your racing and the love that you have for racing, and we'll touch on a few other things about this wonderful event, the Concours in the Hills. So keep the seatbelts on. We'll be right back. You listeners know I've been into car care my entire life. I am so excited to team up with AutoGeek in 2022. AutoGeek.net has been a leading source of auto detailing products, accessories, and expert knowledge for more than 20 years. What started in 1997 as a mail-order catalog company has grown into a multi-website based e-commerce store that they are today. With a large online presence on its own website featuring close to 100 different brands, AutoGeek has grown to be the largest car care retailer in the country. AutoGeek's wholesale program serves accounts in over 30 countries, and its retail sector ships worldwide. Go to AutoGeek.net for the best product selection on the internet today and their stellar technical support. AutoGeek.net. It's where I go for all my detailing needs. That's AutoGeek.net. TechForce is a charity of choice here at Cars Yeah. Auto techs are in high demand, but the supply, it's critically short. For every one tech who graduates school, there's 5 jobs waiting for him. Said another way, 4 technician jobs go unfilled for every technician graduate. Lots of young people love cars, but don't know how to turn that passion into their careers. TechForce Foundation shows them through career exploration, technical education, and the workforce development solutions. Join Cars Yeah in supporting TechForce Foundation and its mission to solve the technician shortage by donating at techforce.org today. Let's talk a little bit about maybe a challenge. Now, being a guy who's raced, and even in the vintage racing and the semi-professional SCCA that you did, I have no doubt that maybe you came up with a couple challenges, maybe even a failure here and there. I like to ask this question because it's more about how you came through that in a positive way, and what was that really valuable lesson for you? Can you share maybe a little bumpy road with us?
Sure. The things that we always have a hard time mustering up, the first, of course, is funding. I've always been self-funded, and I've always earned my own way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have good years, and those years I have a good racing program. Some years are lean years, and we throttle back a bit. Yeah. And that's an issue. And then another interesting issue is preparation. If you're doing this on a highly amateur level, which I pretty much did, you have to either become proficient as a mechanic, which I most certainly am not, or you have to find somebody that can prepare a car that travels at a very high rate of speed that can get it to where it'll be both safe and reliable. That's always, particularly if you've moved a bit, which I have, that's always been a bit of a challenge. But I've been really lucky to get some great shops to work with. And then final thing is your talent. It seems like as all of us that have raced, I think when we start, we all have aspirations. Mine was to get into one of the big bore professional series like Formula 5000 or Can-Am and drive on the same tracks and the same races with my heroes. Yeah. But at some point you look yourself in the mirror and say, an Atlantic is a pretty fast car. I think I'll stay there. I can do that safely. Yeah. And we'll let somebody else do the IndyCar or the Formula 5000.
Well, I look at vintage racing, and you look at some of the cars guys are driving. You get into F1, you get into Can-Am, Formula 5000. Yeah, some of these cars are scary, scary, scary fast cars. And
yes, they are.
Yeah, I just looked at some of those and went, whoa. And, the other thing about vintage racing is, I don't know about you, but not getting a lot of seat time. And when you're running a successful business to pay for all this, life gets in the way. I shouldn't say get in the way, but life becomes a part of your daily kids, marriage, whatever it might be, the business. And that doesn't give you a lot of time. You think about professional drivers, they spend a lot of time testing and on tracks. And many times when I would get to the track, I think, well, I can't even remember the last time I drove this thing. It's a little bit spooky. So yeah, definitely a lot of challenges, but you know what? As you know, it's all worth it, right?
Yes, sir. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. In preparation, I've interviewed hundreds of race car drivers, and preparation is typically a key factor. Many a race was won before you even got to the track because of that preparation. So I understand that as well. Now, the Concours in the Hills is a very cool event because it's held on the grass. And I've been to a lot of Concours events, and one of the things is race cars on grass aren't always a good mix, but they certainly look beautiful. What is it about parking race cars at a Concours out on the grass that really kind of appeals to you?
I think it's just the aesthetics of the setting.
Yeah.
We have a lake in the middle of the park it's in, and we have the world's largest fountain that goes off every hour for about 20 minutes. It's such a pastoral setting, and it's such a contrast with the brutal environment where these Indy cars and 5,000 cars and Pan Am cars normally run, that it's just like putting a lion in a pasture of lambs. It's so beautiful, and it's so tranquil, and I think the thousands of people that come out and go to the Concours really enjoy seeing the cars in this sitting and being able to get so close to them and talk to the owners and in some cases the drivers, or maybe see one of the heroes that used to drive these cars back in the day might show up next to the car and be able to talk to you a bit.
Even cooler. Lions in the pastures of the lamb. I like that. Very nicely said. That's absolutely wonderful. The other thing that Peter told me was even they're going to have some helicopters on the lawn, including maybe a vintage Apache attack helicopter, right?
Yes. We normally get a couple, 3 military helicopters. Mm-hmm. Peter's the world's greatest promoter and marshaler of resources, and he talks to several of the base commanders around the state and in Southern California, and usually cajoles 1 or 2 of them into bringing some hardware in for us.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. I want to ask you about a really special vehicle in your life. It could be a race car, it could be a street car. You've had so many cool rides. Is there one that really stands out for you?
I would say on of the race cars I had a 1982 Ralt RT4 Atlantic car.
Ooh. That
actually was owned at one time by my original hero in racing, Jerry Hansen, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Uh-huh. And I had that, and we did very well with that car, and it was just an absolute joy to drive. It pretty much went anywhere I pointed it. It was a wonderful, stable, fast car to drive, and I had a fellow taking care of it in Oklahoma City when I lived there that did a nice job with it. We just had a great time with that car. I would say that would be my favorite.
Now, what was the livery on your car?
And that one was, when I ran it, we had sponsor. That was a couple of years I was sponsored by Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers out of Vancouver, International Auction Company for heavy equipment and trucks. And so it was in Jerry Hansen orange with Ritchie Brothers on the side.
Oh, cool. That's a serious car you're driving. Fast.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that is very cool. Okay, I'm going to be your automotive psychologist here a little bit, Jim. So sit back on the couch and let me take you down this journey. If you were manifest as a vehicle, not what you want to be, but the man in the mirror, how you perceive yourself, what would Jim be, but more importantly, why?
What would I be?
Yeah.
As far as anything?
Yeah, it could be anything, and the way a lot of people answer this question is going into more of the personality they are. Some people, we all want to be a sleek Ferrari F1 car or Indy car or something, but we're kind of not that. Most of us are not. I'll speak for myself. Yeah, I mean, you work in the heavy equipment industry, so who knows? You could be a bulldozer.
Yeah, I could be. I would have to say, though, I'd probably something that was more subtle.
Okay.
And like a Porsche GT3.
Ooh, love it.
Enormous performance, but doesn't scream look at me like say a Lambo or a Ferrari does. But it'll put just about any one of them in its mirrors.
Yeah. My listeners know I love Porsches, GT3s, GT3 RSs. Oh my gosh. They're such wonderful cars. Yeah.
Truly.
Fun on the street, fun on the track. They kind of do everything. But that's the thing I've liked about Porsche my whole life is, they don't scream at you. I mean, love Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all the other wild cars, but they don't do a lot of screaming. So I think that's a good answer to that question. Now, I know that this event is all about charity as well, and I'd love for you to chat a little bit about that. Phoenix Children's Hospital is the charity at Concours in the Hills, and it's such an important place to help children that are battling disease. What does this mean for you to be a part of this and being able to raise, gosh, you guys are up over $300,000 for this charity and for the hospital. It's wonderful.
Yes, I think it's a great, great charity, a great, great hospital, and actually 20 years ago, my son came down with spinal meningitis when I lived here early, and they saved his life.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Fabulous hospital. And Peter has done a magnificent job, and Peter should get all the credit for this, but he puts this together. He is truly the crankshaft in the engine and pretty much does 90% of the heavy lifting for this thing. And every penny, we charge admission for the cars, but it's free to the people that come out and look. We make the money to give to the hospital through donations from the car entrance and also from sponsors that Peter gets in abundance. And Peter underwrites a lot of the costs of anything he can't get donated, he takes care of. So truly, every dollar you write out to Concours in the Hills ends up in the pocket of Phoenix Children's Hospital. There isn't anything siphoned off for management fees or organizational costs or anything like that. It's truly a dollar for dollar donation.
That's wonderful.
A great thing.
I love it. Hey, is there a great book you've read that you'd like to share with our listeners that you either enjoyed or learned a lot from?
Racing or just in general?
It could be anything. Racing, cars, business, self-help.
That's a broad question, but I would say I most recently read a book by Don Winslow called Cartel. It's about, obviously, the narco state business in Mexico, and just about the politics and the organizational situation with what's going on in Mexico and how it affects things in the United States. That was an excellent book that helped me, living contiguously to Mexico, understand a lot what's going on down there and really have a great empathy for the people in Mexico that are affected by this. That was a great read. I'm trying to think. The other favorite book that I read recently was Into the Wild by John Krakauer, about a true story about a fellow young man that decided to cast off everything in the material world and move out into the wilderness in Alaska, and it didn't have a great ending for him, but it was quite a story.
Oh, that's a classic. Yeah, Into the Wild, incredible. I think there was even a documentary movie done I watched about that.
Yeah.
Terrible, tragic ending. But yeah, the Cartel book and that whole goings on is mind-boggling and horrifying and terrible in so many ways.
Yes, it is.
And it's almost beyond comprehension what some of these groups have done to Mexico and, of course, to the United States and the world, and how they operate and so forth. But Don Winslow's book is eye-opening, mind-boggling. Yeah, you just go, how is this able to happen? And helps kind of piece bits of that together. There's also a great series, I can't remember if it's on Netflix or not, called Narco, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, it talks about the same thing, and you just sit here and go, how can this keep happening? A lot of tragedy there for sure. Well, let's get back to some fun things. I want to allow you to go on what I call the ultimate drive before I let you go here today. This is an open checkbook, so think of me as the huge benefactor that I am. I'm going to get you any car in the world. Now, this could be a race car that you take racing, could be a street car. You can go with anybody in the world, living or deceased, or if you want a single-seater on the track, you can have that too. And you can drive it anywhere you want to drive it. So that leaves the tracks of the world open to you if you want to be on a racetrack. So what does the ultimate drive look like for Jim Maetzold today?
Well, I would have to say, for me, first of all, I love road trips and do them frequently, and I'm in a part of the world that is fortunately one of the best places you could ever possibly live to do road trips. It's rich in history and geography and all kinds of things. But I would say, if I could just wave a wand, I would be in a 60s Ferrari in Europe in Italy with Phil Hill, telling me where to go and how to go. And I had the pleasure of doing a car rally with him before he passed away.
Oh, nice.
And he was just a wonderful gentleman and humble and modest and so knowledgeable. And just to think I'm sitting with a guy that was a world driving champion, and it could be just, Bob from down the street. And he shared things so generously with us.
He was a wonderful man. He came to one of our Sovereign events and was the key, the star of the show. And I got to have lunch with him. I had my son with me. I think Blake was about 7 or 8. And he was just so kind and nice. I've had his son, Derek, on the show here. And Phil, he was just a genuine guy and a consummate car guy, we all know. Incredible driver, restorer. I mean, to have those moments with him that you had, what a wonderful thing.
Truly was, and I would have loved to travel in Europe with him.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, a dream come true. You have taken us on a really fun couple laps here around the track, Jim. I knew this would be a blast. I'm so grateful that Peter introduced us. Before I let you go, maybe as we're into the new year here, is there maybe a mantra, a success quote, or some words of inspiration you might offer the listeners today?
I would say what I've tried to do is have a goal, have a dream, and never give up on achieving your dream. And I think if you are truly dedicated to doing it, you can make it happen. In my case, it was going from being a guy that watched races to be a guy that participated in races.
Yep.
And I made that happen. I think that's what I would say is, follow your dream, believe in it, and you can make it happen.
You're a wonderful inspiration, Jim. Hey, what is the name of your business so we can put that out there for listeners if they're looking for heavy equipment?
Surely. If you need a bulldozer, I'm your man. It's Pac West Trading, and we're in Phoenix, Arizona, and we deal in larger earth-moving equipment and do an awful lot of highly specialized vocational trucks like water trucks, mechanics trucks, fuel and lube trucks. And we ship stuff like that all over the world. So,
wow.
Anyway, it's a nice little niche for us.
No kidding. Well, congratulations on that success as well. Listeners, if you want to learn more about this wonderful event, Concours in the Hills, you can find them online at concoursinthehills.org. Hey, February is not that far away. February 12th, 2022. It's an incredible event, incredible day. Remember, it's free to attend. That is incredible as well. And when you're there, you can say hello to Jim, some of the race car drivers that are going to be there, and enjoy the cars that he's curated for this event. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Jim, thanks for being so generous today with your time and your expertise and for sharing what you do. What an inspiration you are, my friend. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at the Concours in the Hills.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to that.
You're welcome, my friend. Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.